let's welcome to the stage our next guest, Thasunda Brown Duckett, President and CEO of TIAA. You might know it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that there's no relation that we know of, right? Thasunda Brown Duckett, Courtenay Brown, no relation that we know of.
We're just going to say we're third cousins.
Yeah,
and
let's keep it there. So this conversation is going to be a little bit different than the one that Ina just had with Demis. You're not a technologist, but you have a massive job, and you, not you personally, but your company has a massive role in society, right? So when we talk about AI and we talk about a firm like TIAA, 1 trillion assets under management, I believe?
Over a trillion.
Over a trillion, I'm so sorry. Over $1 trillion in assets under management. There's a big role here for the conversation of AI and financial services. So let's just set the table. Where is TIAA right now as far as implementing AI throughout your firm?
Well, first, I think it's important just to anchor on what we do. We exist to ensure millions of people can have a secure retirement. And so the more efficient we are, the more effective we are, the better our performance, the more we're able to return that back to our participants. And so when I think about where we are with AI, I think you have to start with your business strategy. It should not start with AI. So the first question is clarity around our business strategy. The second question is, how can AI enable that strategy? And I see it enabling it in 3 ways. How can AI provide opportunity to improve time, productivity, operating leverage? Second, how can AI help drive growth? And then third, how can AI provide opportunities to have more effective partnerships, recognizing that we are all in the early innings? And so when I think about how can AI improve time, what we are doing at TIAA in Naveen is we're looking at processes that tasks can be more efficient. So whether that's our analysts that go through thousands and thousands of paper that takes weeks, with AI being deployed, they're able to do that in minutes and hours. That's allowing them to spend more time understanding the insights to be able to provide greater value to our clients. When I think about time efficiency, I think about our legal risk and compliance. With all of the regulations, with all of the processes that they have to understand, how can AI help improve that speed so that they can spend more time understanding what that can mean to the business? And so AI is improving time, and we have use cases across the company. When it comes to growth, I think about our wealth advisors that are here to ensure that they can meet with their clients, start with the plan, understand their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. By having AI where they're able to spend less time on tasks, they can spend more time engaging clients. That leads to growth because you can spend more time with more clients. You can have better quality conversations because you have those insights that you're able to spend time understanding what that can mean. You have more growth. And then lastly, on partnerships, that's internal and external. When I think about the partnerships, I think about TIAA Ventures, where we're looking at startups and understanding what problems we're trying to solve and partnering with the startups or providing capital. Or I think about the relationships with Google or Accenture, where we're able to compare notes and best practices, but also leveraging their capabilities. And then on top of that, making sure that we have the right TIAA policy, et cetera, to be able to be more efficient. And so I think the bottom line here is that we're really excited about what AI can do, but it's not AI for the sake of AI. It's not a shiny thing for us. It's about being pragmatic, understanding the goals and objectives of your business strategy, and then where does AI fit to accelerate what you're looking to drive.
It sounds like you see the upside. You see what AI can deliver. And it sounds like you're saying it could make your employees more productive, and that will make things better for your clients, right? But how do you balance the, maybe the technology is not ready? Yes, it might be able to do these things, but let's not push it out unless we're absolutely sure. How do you balance those two things in your mind?
Well, I think it goes together. I mean, any business leader has to understand what tools are we using? Is it ready? How do you test it? Make sure you're getting what you need. edit to amplify, and continue to drive the outcomes. But I think the conversation about AI, I look at it in 3 ways. It's about technology, culture, and human capital. And those conversations need to go together, not separately. Because to your point, from an associate perspective, they have to be on that journey, which is about the trust and the culture of your organization, and how do you provide the vision of where it fits and what it means to them. When I think about the risk, we first started with our AI risk policy. So before we got excited, we first needed to understand how are we going to use it and how do we understand the risk and what is our risk policy. Secondly, as it related to what it means for our associates, you have to tell the story on the problems you're trying to solve and the opportunity it can create for your clients and for us delivering on our mission. But you have to lower the anxiety and increase the confidence. How do you do that? The first thing that we did was we provided every employee access to what we call TIAA Gate. That allowed them to just play. And the more they played, just like they were doing in their personal lives, they started to understand, oh, that made this email a lot better. Oh, I sound really good on my performance evaluation right now. They started to understand, and then they started to share with us use cases. So while we are talking about it from the top down, it also has to meet from the bottom up, and then we have to communicate. And that means engaging your frontline managers, that middle, making sure that they understand what we're here to do, being honest about the transformation, that this does require intellectual curiosity on their part, and it does require investment in our training in a way that connects in a real way that we are measuring to ensure is it effective. And then on the culture side, it's about really understanding how does this fit from a cultural perspective. And so a great simple example is most companies have what we call business resource groups or employer resource groups. We brought them in so that they were able to ask us questions, that they were able to do some experimentation, so that they were able to bring some of the training and insights. Why is that important? Because they're your ambassadors of your company and of your brand. They are the ones that's employee-led. They're the ones that to then say, well, what does this mean to me as a resource group employee? And what we saw was high engagement. We saw that it understood that we were on the journey together, and that if as jobs evolve, it's not about, will this require me to do more work? It's about, how does it help me do different better? And that is a different connection for us. How do you take what's an entry-level job and with some intellectual curiosity and proper training, how can that entry-level job start here instead of here? So that you can get going more in a way that you can get excited about what this means for your company.
One thing I'm worried about with that, though, is that, and Ina was talking to Demis about this a little bit, like our institutions are not moving fast enough, right? So if an entry-level job is up here, as you say, instead of down here, does that change the type of people you would hire for that type of entry-level job? Wouldn't it require different types of skills than the traditional entry-level worker?
Well, I think we have to take a step back. We're hearing so much talk about what AI can do, but within your company, we did not, change the entire employee base on Tuesday to meet the needs of Friday. What we've done is we're skilling internally. And I think as leaders, we're talking a lot about reskilling. We have to get serious about what does that mean? What is the operational processes? For example, how do we at TIAA, how do we ensure that every employee now has a resume that fits TIAA? So that using AI, we are able to now know that this person that may have been an administrative assistant took advantage of some of our training in terms of our guild network, got certified on some of the new technology that actually maps to the jobs we're hiring. And through AI, I can now see you where maybe in the past you would have just gotten an automatic decline because your current role does not map to the qualifications of the new. And so this is not about creating a whole new ecosystem of talent. This is about understanding the talent that you already have. It's about understanding the investment we need to make in real training and reskilling, mapping it to the jobs of where we're going, and then giving them time to level up. And the reality is, again, a pragmatic approach means that we're right where we need to be with the technology. We're right where we need to be in understanding the use cases. It's not a hobby for us. It's embedded in how we do business, and we're going on a learning journey together.
I'm reading between the lines of what you're saying, and it sounds like you feel like you have a responsibility to prepare your workforce for what's coming. And I wonder how we should think about that, because AI has the potential to do really great things for our society, right? But it also has the potential to widen inequalities. And so what role does corporate America need to play in making sure perhaps that doesn't happen? And how much of it is the government? How do you think about that balance?
Yeah, I mean, as leaders, I think about it in a couple of ways. Again, first, it starts within your own company. Are you taking a look at your wages? Are they competitive? Are you still recruiting on campuses? Are there jobs that you may not require a degree, but you have the skills to provide that, whether it's working through AI or other technology roles where you truly can have certifications. So it starts with, are our roles competitive? Is our compensation and benefits package competitive? So that's the job one. I think as we think about the broader society, again, it all has to work together. And if AI is delivering on our business strategy for us, that means returning our earnings back to participants, which means more income in retirement, where income has to be the outcome. And so when I think about the role of government, and when I think about the role of what we have to do as leaders, it's about focusing on what will this technology unlock for us, and what can it mean for our associates? What does it mean for our business strategy and who we serve? And then ultimately, how can it drive greater outcomes? I do think we do have to understand the impact of income inequality. And when you think about the investments that need to be made and continue to be made in AI, we have to make sure, how will everyone be able to have an opportunity to benefit? It cannot just be a small sector that's generating all of those earnings, and that the everyday person can't see themselves in it. That will be an organ rejection when it comes to embracing the technology, when it comes to, are the data centers going to be in your backyard, when it comes to, are you trading off my electric bill for your power? That's when it becomes an either or instead of an and. And how can it impact the communities that we care about and we serve? How can AI help with preventing fraud? How can it help with elderly care? How can it help bring the intergenerational talent to a learning equilibrium that says, whether you're 19 or whether you're 62, with AI, you can continue to learn and add value to the company. So we have to think about it holistically. We as leaders have an important role to play. But again, I do think it starts in our own backyard and making sure we stay focused on the outcomes that we have to drive.
We're about to get the hook, but I want to ask you, it's your second year at the World Economic Forum at Davos. What are you hearing? What is one thing that you think is different this year relative to last year, the last time you came?
AI.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
nice
good
and succinct.
energy, great dialogue. Yeah. I think the AI conversation is much more holistic. It's about income inequality. It's about the data centers and copper. It's about workforce. It's about culture. So I think we're having more dialogue and trying to understand what it can mean for us and what it can mean for the communities we serve.
Will you come back next year?
Absolutely.
All right. Thasunda Brown Duckett, thank you.